Hello, welcome in. It is December 19th, 2024, and we're here for another episode of the Unstoppable Dream Recovery Circles. Jess is going to pull a card today, and we're going to somehow tie it into the immersion program that we're having starting January 6th, 2025. So we feel supported in the universe in the program that we're putting out there that we're just going to wing it and pull a card because we know it's going to support us in our journey here moving forward. So,
Okay. All right. I'm pulled from the Wisdom Keepers Oracle deck and Inner Guide. It's a kind of affiliated with the Gene Keys um, here. And the card that just flew out is number 2, Orientation. It's got great artwork too. Okay. So the gift is orientation, the shadow is dislocation, and the city is unity. As you come more into contact with your unity with all creatures, you also witness an enhancement in your own uniqueness, particularly through your creative process. It says, as a child, the trees were my friends and the animals were my family. To my people, everything was connected and pulsing with life. Then my family moved to a world of straight lines and tiny boxes. I felt different, cut off, and dislocated. Every turn I took seemed to be wrong. At one point, I felt so lost I considered ending my life, but then my grandmother passed away. The following night, she came to me in a dream and said, every time you reject your roots, my sweet boy, you not only reject me and our family, but the entire cosmos. That dream did something to me, something powerful. The very next day, I found myself planning a trip back to Australia. It would be the first time I visited since our family moved away. I realized that there was nothing I needed to do, nowhere I needed to go in order to end the sense of lostness and emptiness that had ruled my life. Simply becoming aware of the longings underneath was enough to reorient and renew me with a surge of unexpected creativity. Now I know in my whole body, that I belong no matter where I am, and I have something wonderfully unique to contribute. I come to bring you the gift of orientation. When you look into my eyes, allow me to remind you of the deepest truth, that we are all one. You and I may look different from each other, but deep down we are the same. Care less about what others think of you and more about how you are a natural part of the whole. Open yourself up to a path of synchronicity as you surrender into my eyes. Don't think too much. Allow the certainty within me that we are all connected in a single unity, that all things happen in the exact right timing to reassure you that there is no way for you to be outside of the stream of life. It is simply not possible. Meditation. Hmm. Well, the first thing that comes up for me is just about like regarding the unity piece about us all being one. It's like I think about how, we often talk about, it's like how our home frequency, right? Like our own unique soul essence, like is our gift to the world, like it is our medicine, right? It's like we're kind of like 99% the same, but then we each have that like 1% of uniqueness that makes us different. And so it's like kind of like when we heal the stuff within ourselves, like we help to heal the collective like frequency or vibration of the planet, like we can't do something to ourselves without like affecting the whole.
Yeah, and I think like what was coming up for me is the more we connect to ourselves, the more we are able to tap into our creative energy.
Mhm.
I feel like creativity comes when we serve the moment and not when we try to do something about the moment. And that's the difference, And so it's because it's really exhausting to constantly be doing. And
Mhm.
that's kind of what we're taught. I feel like the human conditioning is like, what are you going to do about it? You got to do something about this. And so that's what we're all trying to do. You just lost your job. What are you going to do about that? right? So we're like, well, I better do something. I better like get up in the morning and start working. I got to do something to fix this problem. I have to do something. But when we act from like our ego, we're so disconnected. We get exhausted, we get depressed, we get anxious. And I think like the more we're connected, we just learn how to use our creativity to serve that moment. It's not that we don't do anything, right? But it's a lot easier to achieve when you're coming from a space of receiving and not doing, if that makes sense.
I think it makes sense.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like I think, and I feel like how this relates to what we're putting out in January with our immersion is that we're just trying to help people remember, right? That they have all of this inside them. And we're just kind of bringing it to the light and to show them, like, we're the ones doing our deep work. And then now we feel like we have to come out and like show other people how we're doing it,
Mhm.
and the tools that we're using. So yeah, it's getting out of the head and into the heart and into the body, which I feel like that's what we're going to be tapping into in January is a lot of embodiment of the practices. And then the concepts and just see how we are all connected, right? The astrology, the chakras, um, the constellation work, like it's all going to just dovetail into each other.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Living life through a different lens, right? Like Jess, you were saying that like we were just all taught a certain way to, and at the beginning of that passage, it said, to fit into the box.
Yeah.
Um, Box doesn't fit anymore. And if anyone was called to this, watching this YouTube channel, it's because you're done being in the box. And when you find other like-minded people doing this kind of work, it's exciting. It's exciting to be, I feel, alive on this planet right now. I know it's so chaotic, but at the same time, it's very um, exciting. I don't know what other word to use right now. It's like they're both existing at the same time.
Yeah. And there's like a lot of chaotic energy. I feel like a lot of people right now are in a space of questioning what they're doing. So,
Mhm.
in my like corporate executive coaching career, right? I'm talking to a lot of people who make millions of dollars in their career, who are been climbing the corporate ladder, who are like set for life, are coming to me questioning, why am I doing this? What is the point of my life? I can't do this anymore. Why am I here? Like this seems to be a common question, right? People are recovering from burnout right now. People are recovering from like any kind of addiction that comes from living in that way, right? Living in the do, we get addicted to things. And, when the soul meets the body, when we're born, it goes through a descension process, right? And then we kind of get stuck in this world because of conditioning, and whether that's past lives, ancestral, like just our nation, our country, our schooling that we went into, our family. I mean, there's so many cultures, right? Like that just conditioning. And then with this program, we're tapping into some of those energy systems. So the planets are within us. So we are going to tap into astrology and the moon, which is our receiving, right? And the north and south node, which are like vitally important to our soul's path, where we've come from and where we're going in this lifetime, and reconnecting to that energy that is within us. So we really know how to harness that. And also learning to work with the chakras so we ascend back up to connect to our true self, to get to a space of peace and calm and clarity. So when we're making those decisions about what's next for me, it's coming from that space of trust and like connection to the whole, and not that space where we have been operating from, which is no longer working anymore.
Oof, powerful. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking too, like speaking to the shadow aspects and gene keys, there's like a shadow, a gift, and a city, right? And so of like dislocation, and just like you spoke to with all the coming astrology and the shifting of the nodes, it's like as people's, intuition activates, and they have these existential questions that start coming up, right? And like these profound shifts, because like we don't have all the outer planets changing sign and not creating change. Like it's definitely going to create shifts for everybody, you know? And so it's like just the power. And I think it will be easy to feel dislocated. It will be easy to feel like, where am I? Don't have my bearings. Where's my foundation? Everything's shifting. And so it's like, because even last night, there's a couple of us got on the call feeling like super funky. And then by the end, we were talking like, oh my God, I feel so much better, right? It's like you come in a space of like-minded people and you just like remember, like, okay, everything's okay. Like we're all on this path together. We're all doing this together. Because it's important to see that like that mirrored back, right? Especially the more, like and I've heard a lot of people talking about like the splitting of timelines is what they're calling it, right? Like you've got those people that are going to continue to trudge the road of what we've been doing. And then you have others that are going to be like stepping into something new. And that divide's going to continue to feel, I think, wider and wider. And so I think having places, you know, where you can connect to that unity, whether it's in circle, whether it's in meditation, like whatever gives you that feeling that to tap in the energy of unity, and with people and by yourself is going to be so vital, like you said, Jamie, to come back to that kind of true north, right? Like where do I really want to go? What do I really need? What really takes for me to be nourished in this moment? Not what I've told, not what I've been told I need to do or what I've been told needs, like all that stuff.
And what's great about the program too is it's an embodied experience. So yes, you'll receive information about the chakras, information about your moon, information about the nodes and where they're shifting, but it's about embodying it and to release some of that energy, because so many times we try to understand things from our mind, which is very limited, right? And so like a lot of people will come to me with astrology readings and they're like, oh my God, my moon's there. Like, what does it mean? What do I need to do about that? Right. So then they're trying to do something again. And that's not the point, right? There's nothing you need to do. Nothing is here to harm you. It's all for growth. It's all for lessons. And so the embodied experience through constellation work really helps to shift that energy. And that's why it's so important to embody it and not just like learn about it, not just know about it. So we're really trying to shift that and then tap into the creative energy on those weeks that we're not doing the constellations and not teaching something about the chakra or about the moon, right? It's we're embodying it in constellation. And then in the following week, we're kind of embodying it again by being creative with it. And in whatever way that's going to come up. And timeline shifting too, it's like if we want to clear our karma and do something different, you have to go back to the time that something happened and change it. And how that works is you change your reaction, and you can do that now, right? So in life, the patterns keep repeating themselves. And we find ourselves, this happens again, this happens again. You might notice it in relationships or with your boss, also a relationship. So relationships, you'll notice it, right? And when something comes up again, it's like learning how to respond and not react. And you can't do that until you're really connected to yourself, right? So we're like through the embodiment, we're moving everything and shifting everything back up so we can come from a space of like creative action, aligned creative action, and learning to operate from that space. We don't need the tools to get there. The tools are there to support you on the journey, but we're already there. We're just descended, right? We're just kind of stuck. So, yeah.
So in my astrology class that I'm taking, we talk about, the tools, right? So we have the tools, and the analogy we used was if you go to like an amusement park, right? And you get the pamphlet that you open up, it's like a 3-page or whatever. It opens up to like 3 sides, and you see where everything is, right? So that's kind of like, say, your birth chart or something, right? So you kind of look at it and you see the information, but then the actual embodiment like that we're talking about, if that makes any sense, that when we get into constellation work, is you embody the energies of what's going on. And it's almost like, so it's like being on the ride itself, right? So you can see the ride on the map. Like you can see, oh yeah, over here's the roller coaster. And then constellation work is actually being on the roller coaster, like having the experience of the roller coaster. So I love that. And then the other thing I really loved, what we tapped upon here, was we're doing it in community of like-minded people, but we're not in victim consciousness. We're in empowered action consciousness or creative action, which I love that word, Jamie, is that finding another way to be in this world that's not victimy. I like that is just old now. That's the pattern that has to shift. But we don't necessarily have uh, a new way to do it. So this is the new wave look of how to be in that energy moving forward in this collective right now that we're all finding ourselves in. And it's not going to be everybody that's going to be attracted to this because not everybody's ready for the work, but we're actually in here learning and doing as we do the group too. So it's like we're not saying, oh, we have the answers here, but we're saying let's embody it together and experience it together and see where it takes us, right? So that's I think the feminine aspect of it is that we're not coming at you from like an expertise type of approach. This is a sort of we're in this together. Like let's walk this journey together.
Mm-hmm.
Some questions here I can share. There's some questions for contemplation that are pretty all right. It says, are you feeling lost, alone, or out of sync? Or are you constantly trying to control, define, and regiment your life? When did you last feel a deep sense of unity, like you were in the flow and connected to all of life? Where were you? Who were you with? Find a simple way to reconnect with that feeling today. Spend time in nature, sing, dance, or laugh with others. Go to a favorite place and take it all in. Yeah, because it's like you said, Jamie, it's like we already are all the things we're trying to like be, right? It's just a matter of like clearing out all the distortions, right? Clearing out all the conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I love that.
Well, I know where I was the last time I felt in unity. It was yesterday playing tag with my 5-year-old great niece, right? I mean, I don't think she was expecting her great niece her great aunt to be able to move the way I did. I caught her a couple of times. And that felt
I
fun.
felt it last night in circle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would just say too to end it, like if you're feeling like I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted, I don't know what I'm doing. You've probably spent your life, which most of us have, like in that doing space, trying to fix things. And this program would invite you into that space of creative receiving and embodiment too, which can help you operate your nervous system and just your life from a whole different perspective shift. And like Mary Beth said, we're all on this journey together back to ascension. This is the human journey, right? And, this is why we're all here. It's not because we're perfect. I mean, we're all doing this work right now. So yeah, you'd be, right there. We'd be right there with you. So yeah, we just want to invite you into it to explore a little bit more, and you can catch it, more information about it. There's a link in the description, I believe, of the 13-week immersion. So just click on that link. You'll find all the details. You can fill out the intake form, and then we'll be in touch.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.